Hey everyone, this is Swiss Gaming. We are live from DiceRCon in sunny Orlando. I'm here today with Queen Games and Travis, and he's going to be showing us Immortals, right?
I am. This is a new game for us. We had an early release here. It comes out of GenCon.
Comes out of GenCon, okay.
It's from Dirk, Henn, and Elliott, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, the box is huge. I didn't get to pick up the weight of it to see how heavy it, but I've seen a billion pieces so far, and it looks pretty cool. All right, so let's take a look at the game and tell me a little bit about it.
Okay, so in this game, we're fighting the eternal war in the Shadow Realm, and in that world, we've got the dark side and the light side. So our guys go out here and they're occupying the different areas and moving around and fighting one another.
All right.
And if they fight over here and you have guys that die, they go to your light side limbo, and then when you bring them back, they're going to come on and fight on the light side. So they just keep getting reincarnated. They fight forever.
They fight between the two worlds. And just
right. So, yeah, you're trying to get it's an area majority, so you're trying to gain as much territory as you can.
Okay.
And throughout the game, you also build some buildings, and those will score for you. And all that happens we start off with the setup side. So each of the different races, which there's a bunch, there's 5 dark races: orcs, trolls, demons, necromancers, and night elves. And then you've got humans, elves, dwarfs, halflings, and I'm not sure where the other one is. But so we piece those together. So you've got a start board, and these will show you their different army groups. So the humans get 4 groups of 3. The trolls get 2 groups of 6, and in a 3-4 player game, they both get a couple little extras.
Yeah.
And they're all different, so you have different starting combinations. So we set those up, and then we're going to draft, and we're going to draft through these cards that show us that's cliff side and the dark side, and there's a card for every territory, and there's one for both sides of the board. So we're going to draft, and we put our guys out, and then we're set up to play the game.
Okay.
And then as you gain a territory, you get this region card, and that's what you use to program your moves, because it's a move program. So once we're set up, the game would start. We would program all our moves, and on our player board, we can do things like generate magic energy, collect money, build buildings, combat. So pretty heavy, a little heavier in combat. Then a lot of people that may have played Shogun or Wallenstein, they'll recognize that programming cards in the tower are similar, but the gameplay is much different.
Okay, so you have a programming aspect of how you do things. It's area control is how you're winning. Mm-hmm. All right, so then we got our different characters. Cool. All right, so you're doing area control, you're doing fighting by using your cards, right?
Yeah, so if I put a card here, it's going to let me do a combat. And unlike those games, I can do a combat anywhere I want. Okay. The combat just decides whether the little green guys fight for me or they fight against me. They're the inhabitants, and they're just not happy about this war that keeps going on. So they may fight for me or against me or be neutral based on the card I played. But I can attack anywhere. That's a big freedom difference from some of the other games. This action lets me bring guys on, and then every player ends up with some magic spells that they can play, and these 2 spaces that do different things like levy more guys to the board or take the start player or things like that. Okay. So we program him, and then whoever's the start player, he goes first, and he picks whatever action he wants to do. Instead of, again, people that are familiar with the other games, everybody takes the same action at the same time. We're all going to generate gold. We're all going to collect rice. We're all going to do our attack A. In this game, when it's your turn, you do any action you want.
So you pick them off one at a time. So you can do it in any order.
Yeah, right. You say,
so
I'm going to collect.
I'm going to do my attack now. This attack now.
Right, and it's important that you do that because if you and I are fighting one another over the Florida territory, and Bob over here owns Florida in the light realm, and I beat you and take Florida in the dark realm, he wasn't even involved, but I get to take the Florida card from him because I just won Florida. I own it now, and it could be the card he had on his gold, and now he didn't get gold this turn. So you got to kind of see what you might lose.
And you can kind of react a little bit because of what other people are doing.
Right.
That's very interesting for typically when you program games, you program and that's it, and you're done.
Yep. So in a 4 and 5 player game, you play 5 turns and you score at the end of every turn, which is also a big difference. So in this game, you can make a big push to score this round, and you're going to maybe thin yourself out because you take that one army and you attack 1, 2, 3 times, and some armies can even attack 4 times. So you make that big push and you gain a bunch of territory, but then you're kind of spread out and you're going to pay the price.
So each back of these have different abilities that they're all unique?
Or they're all different. So you see the different army setups different here.
Yeah.
The light side tells us where we start. and they all have different starting money.
But the actions they have on the back. So this one has 3 attacks, while someone could have, as you said, 4. So there'd be 4 attack symbols on the back.
6 of the spaces are all the same on every board.
Okay.
This space is different. The dark side race has a unique power on every board.
Okay.
So like the demons can build an extra building, whereas the trolls can conduct an extra attack.
Okay.
And some of the other dark side races have different other stuff.
Okay.
The other thing that changes is everybody can build each of these buildings, but the price changes based upon which race you are.
Okay.
The one building that's unique in this one is you can build a portal. So if I build a portal in the bread plains, I can go through it. It's a one-way tunnel to here.
Okay.
So you don't have to die to get over there. You can just go through the tunnel.
All right.
Again, five rounds. We score every round. If it's a 3-player game, you're going to play 7, and you score every round. You score points for every 2 territories you have. You score points for controlling 3 or more in a given area.
Okay.
And then you score for all the buildings that you control that have been built on the board.
Okay. How long does the normal game take?
About 2.5.
All right, so it's a longer game.
A little longer, yeah. It's a little meatier game, and it's a lot more freedom and choice and flexibility, and a lot more combat than you might see in some of the other similar games, like I said, Shogun or Wallenstein.
All right. And then you guys have the cool tower you can grab.
Yeah, so we didn't talk about that yet. So when we do fights, this is how we resolve the fight. So if red and blue were fighting here, we would pick those up and we would grab everything that's in the tray, which I'm going to take a few of them out so we can actually see. So we've got 2 red, and then that makes 5 red and 4 blue, but we also have some neutrals. So remember I said based on the card, we'll assume that red was attacking blue and that the neutrals are fighting for blue this time, all right? So we're going to drop them, and we see only 3 red came out, and blue ended up having more. So blue would kill all the red.
Okay.
And so the green guy would die, and 2 of the red guys would die. Blue guys would die. That's 3 and 3. Okay. These 2 blue would go back on the territory on the map. If blue had been the attacker, then blue would claim whatever territory it was they were fighting in, and we'd move on to the next player.
Okay, so there's no dice or anything. You just
no
toss all
dice.
the cubes.
The cubes get stuck. So like I'll show you, I'm going to drop 2 red, and that one didn't work out. We'll try 2 blue. There must not be many in there, so I think we only seeded a few. But what goes in isn't what comes out, and we don't have the other 3 colors in there either. So yeah, it gets seeded, and what comes out is pretty much always not what you dropped.
Okay. All right, awesome. Anything else you want to mention about the game, or?
No, it comes out at GenCon. We'll have a promo extra set of races there, so anybody that picks it up at GenCon can get that. It's Lizardmen and I think Gnomes. I think it's Gnomes, but we'll have that at GenCon, and we'll have we'll have a limited number, so people should come and get them early.
Okay. And how much is the game going for?
It's $80.
$80. All right.
After GenCon, it'll be in distribution.
It'll be in distribution, yeah, within a month after GenCon.
Okay.
It'll be in distribution.
Very, very cool. Anything else you want to mention about the game?
No, I mean, I will say I really enjoyed this game. I've mentioned it a couple times, Shogun and Wallenstein. Have you played?
I have not played that.
Yeah, so they have some similar mechanics. They have the programming and they have the tower. Yeah. Shogun is one of my more favorite games. I really like it.
Yeah.
But I think this is probably going to take it. Knowing Shogun made it hard for me to learn this at first because I expected it to be so much like Shogun, and it just wasn't. And people that are playing it are basically saying, yeah, this is a totally different game. So it has a look to it, but it plays so different. So I think people are really going to like it. It's going to be a big game, I think.
Very cool. All right, so thanks for coming on, Travis.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for talking about Immortals with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope your your viewers like the game.
Yeah, thanks. So thanks for joining us. We will be back soon with more games.